That reminded me we were
Good
doing Hangouts.
evening, welcome, afternoon, good morning, or very early good morning if you're over in Japan. My name is Michael Mason. I'm the CTO and founder of Plus My Reach, and I'm here with Laurie Lazur this evening. Hi, Laurie.
Hi.
And what we're talking about this evening, Laurie, it's the final show in this particular season, isn't it? We're doing
Yeah,
reporting.
we started this out with the idea that we could do this little series on how to monetize your Hangouts and go through some of the process that we have, that I have done, and other bloggers and other people out there who've monetized, and it's been really great. I'm really excited about the response, and lots of our viewers here. You guys have given us such great tips, because I am the first one to say I don't have all the answers. We all have all the answers. So working this together makes so much sense, rather than one person trying to navigate this themselves.
Yeah, well, we've covered in the last 5 weeks. We have covered. Let me have a think here. Branding,
Mm-hmm.
the media kit. We had Ryan on those two shows, didn't we? And
Sure.
we were talking about the branding and the media kit. We've covered the proposal and the pitch letter, contracts, and I think last week was, well, I've got the list here in front of me, matching sponsors with content. And it's been an eye opener for me as well, because as technical as I am and everything, I'm not a marketer. I wouldn't even profess to be a marketer. But to learn the process behind starting to think about monetizing Hangouts is interesting. I've done all the technical, you see. I've looked into the terms of service, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, what you can do, what you can't do, what's a grey area, what's definitely a no-no, things you absolutely cannot do. And it's been, I'll tell you what else has been interesting, Laurie, seeing the 2 or 3 people that we're working with and walking through the process with them. Even from the back, just watching what's going on.
Sure.
So I'm actually quite excited to get to. I can't really call it the final show, even, can I? Because we're not going to be doing another series on monetization, but we do have something coming up which I think the audience are going to be really interested in. So it's
Yeah.
reporting,
Yeah.
numbers,
And
data.
it is. Data is king. We all know it. Everybody out there understands that they need this data. The brands need this data. But how you present the reports and how you extrapolate the information to make your Hangouts even better. There's a lot that can come from reporting, and it's great to put out great content, and it's great to see people respond to that content. But at the end of the day, you do need to know what the analytics say, and no human really can do that, because it comes over time, and it is a massive thing to calculate out, and it's very much a mathematical process.
hmm I mean, I know when we've been collocating data for Plus My Reach for a few months now, I think. I'd have to check the exact date that we first started gathering data. And what was a real surprise to me was when we started tracking posts. And I just started throwing posts into the system willy-nilly, because obviously I'm testing the system while it was going through alpha. And one of the things that really surprised me was when I looked at a post and I clicked on the engagers, there were names there that I wasn't even following, but clearly they were following me and they were
Right.
engaging with my content and sharing my content, which was really nice. It's like I've said to you, Laurie, I'm no big hitter on Google. I'm no big hitter on any of the networks, really. I think I've got 4,000 people following me on
Could that
Google.
be because you spend your time programming and not doing social media?
Probably. I'm either all or nothing with social media. You might get 10 updates in 5 minutes and then hear nothing from me for a day. So, but it was really interesting to actually see all these people following me and sharing my content. So obviously, because of Plus My Reach, I managed to grab all these people and put them in a circle and thank them for,
One of the things that you said just really made sense for me. You said you had viewers who were sharing your content. You didn't even have them circled. Now, because this is so important, and it's so important to understand who is following you, who is your top engager, it's basically contributing to your show not growing, your social networks not growing by not knowing who. So how many others in the course of the year that you just didn't notify, you didn't understand that they were following you, you didn't understand that they were contributing to your content, and so you didn't circle them back, you didn't engage with them back, and they dropped off, and then you have a whole new group of people that sort of do the same thing, and the process repeats itself. But if you actually took the time, or you had a tool that took the time to say, these are the people that have responded to your information, and you communicated back with that person, they're much more likely to come to the next event and come back because they were validated by sharing your information. You noticed them. People don't want to do that for you for free forever, especially if you're not even able to say thank you.
No. I mean, one other thing as well that I wanted to touch on is a regular thing that we do with Plus My Reach. We've had 6 shows now. This is the sixth. I put my teeth back in. Show. Every time we have a show, we run a report. A week after the show, we run another report. And the reason why I do that is because the engagement carries on increasing because people are still using the event page to communicate, find out more about what it was we were talking about. But the main reason for me is because then I can catch all the people that engaged. Now, I could probably run a report in another month or 3 months on this page and find yet more engagers. And what we do is we put these people into a circle, and we know these people engaged with our event, and we only circle the active engagers. So that means people that have done performed 2 or more actions. So they may have shared, +1, commented, added a photo, anything like that.
Right. And speaking of that, we have a function where you do have all of your engagers, and then you can click through and you can circle those people one by one. But I did notice this week, and I've been experimenting with myself, and it's been fantastic, is a product called Circloscope. If you haven't been testing that out, you can actually quickly circle in one click, really, all the people who say yes, all the people who say maybe, all the people who comment, all the people who say no, and maybe reach out to those people who say no to make sure that they really even want to be on your notifications list so that you don't end up losing them. I think that's a great tool, and I think that Plus My Reach definitely should be pushing people over to that tool also, because it completes that circle as a Hangout host manager.
Yeah. Well, there's a kind of separate, similar issue. In just under an hour, we have another Hangout running talking about events, and we have Christine de Graaf coming along from Circlescope to talk about techniques for increasing the number of people that attend your events, because I know personally how frustrating it is to create an event, and you're going to do this Hangout, and you're going to share this wonderful information, and then Google says, nope, sorry, you can only invite 50 people. What? So we've actually got a few people coming on.
I've been doing it for so long. It's so funny because I know that Google works differently for everyone, because I have been doing it for so long with Hangouts that I have none of those issues. I can invite 1,000 people in a whack. So
I didn't actually realize how many people still had the problem. And some of these people, and what we would refer to as big hitters in Google as well, they might have 100,000, 500,000, or even 1 million following them, and they still have the same problems that we have, and the people that are new to Google. And what I'm trying to do with this Hangout that we're doing in an hour is actually talk to people who are new to Hangouts, new to events, and hopefully dismiss any despondency, or how can I put it, disillusion they might feel about Google Hangouts, because it is difficult. And as Gene Layton says, Circlescope is a great tool. It is. Now, just coming back a moment to this thing that I was talking about with regards to our reporting and the fact that we can circle people. One of the things I found is week on week we have around 8 to 10% more live viewers, And week on week, we get around 10% more active engagers. Every week we're adding people to this circle, new people who we've never met before, which is really great. So it means the word is spreading. And for anybody that is new to Hangouts, or even an expert in Hangouts, you may have been doing Hangouts for 2.5, 3 years, you know. Now, what I would recommend, me personally, is have some sort of engagement or some sort of measurement. I think Uruguay have just scored a goal. And find the people that are engaging with your brand, because there is no real value in sending out a message to 500 people if only 100 of them engaged with the event. I don't feel there is anyway, and that's one of the things that Plus My Reach is really good at, finding the actual, you know, people that engaged with the event or the post.
Yeah, I think that that's true. I think it's all about identifying your engagers and identifying them on multiple platforms and communicating back with them. They are the people who are most likely to share your content. They like your content already. You know, it's the same thing as if you're trying to sell product. You know, it's you know, your customers are most likely to be your customers again. So these are clients of your content, and they are more likely to like the next thing that you're posting if you're engaging back. And I see huge brands every day who do not engage back with their followers, and I know it becomes a task when you have over 1,000 people responding to your product. But the second you step away from your engagers, you lose.
Yep.
Because, you know, there's fantastic feedback in that. There's fantastic information that your brand really needs. And I've watched big brands grow. I can say that I was probably one of the first followers of Mashable. And, you know, there was a day when, you know, Pete Cashmore would message me back. And now I'm just one of the followers, and he doesn't do that anymore. I'm not saying Mashable's doing anything wrong because they're growing, but that's a mistake. You know, that's a mistake that there are people that you build and you're building up, you know, and you finally get some great success, and then all of a sudden you lose contact with the people that helped you get there. And I think that's what happens because you don't have, you know, you don't have these tools that really work in a cross-platform way that show you who your engagers are. We don't have everything, but we do have GooglePlus down. You know, if someone's coming to your Hangout, we'd know who those engagers are.
Yeah, 100%. A quick question for you, Laurie, because, you know, the Hangout is about reporting, although we provide reporting for GooglePlus. You are much more familiar with reporting on other platforms, and I know we touched on this in one of the episodes we did, but I just wondered what your take was on reporting in general in social media, the quality of the reporting available, and things like that.
You know, it's tough. There are tools out there, hash tracking for hashtags. There's definitely some tools that help you with Twitter. There's some tools that help you with Facebook, but it's segmented. I mean, every platform is a new experience. You have 100,000 followers on Facebook. You start over tomorrow on GooglePlus with 0. And you know, that's the scenario for every single business owner out there, that every time they enter into a new platform, it's from the ground up, and it's very difficult to find your engagers in one network and bring them over to another network seamlessly.
Well, this is another thing I was thinking about when you were talking about these, excuse me, when let's say, for example, you've got a really strong following on Facebook and you make the jump to Google Plus. And as the phrase goes, you know, new playpen, new friends. So you have to find new. Google is not about bringing all the people over from Facebook to Google. I found lots of new people here, made lots of new friends here. I've done business here, and I've also found some people coming from Facebook and joining me because my Facebook cover says, you know, something on the lines of now in another place and the Google Plus logo. You know, if you want to find me. But what's frustrating is that I have to use Facebook to find out who's engaging with me on Facebook or some Facebook reporting tool, Twitter to find out who's engaging with me on Twitter, or a Twitter reporting tool, as you've mentioned, like hash tracking, and then I come to Google. yet another tool to track my
Yeah.
engagement on Google.
Believe
We
me,
could
though,
actually,
my recurring fee monthly subscriptions add up. So I can feel your pain if you're out there trying to subscribe to all these reporting services. It's definitely a it's an expense. It's a business expense. But that data that comes from it helps you make the right decisions. And if you don't
yeah,
have those reports, then you're not making the right decisions. You're not communicating back with the people that are engaging. You're not communicating back with the right people. You're not of your followers finding those moments where there could be collaboration, which is
yeah,
really important. Um, and that's a huge loss. And on a bigger scale, which most of our series has been how to monetize.
hmm,
Brands do expect the reporting. They do want the third party reporting. They may like you, they may like your content, but if you don't have something to share as to how many followers came to that event, how many people engaged with that product, then you're unlikely to get them to sponsor the product long term. They might do one or two hangouts, but you really want the people who make long term relationships with you and your brand. And the other problem is that with Hangouts, you're initially by nature cross-platform. So you start the event on GooglePlus, but eventually saves on YouTube, and it becomes an entity over there and an entity here. Now, to a brand, that's amazing because it's really one effort to create two products, two
yeah,
places where they can get traction. But still, if you don't have the numbers across those platforms to understand, who is engaging with the product, then, and who is engaging with the hangout, then it's hard for them to justify that expense.
yeah. Let me just touch on something else as well, if I could, Laurie.
Sure.
We were talking about, I put a picture into, well, Pepe put the post in the event page with the gender split. I was actually surprised, at the gender split for this event. And we were talking with somebody recently because their gender split was a little bit too skewed for their liking one way. So we've made a few suggestions on how they can balance that out a little bit. But I think you will find with certain events, the demographics will lean one way or the other. More males, more females, more older, more younger, more techie, more non-techie, etc. What we're actually trying to do, well, currently we're just compiling data. And what we're trying to do is provide demographics, not just down to the event, but generally as well. So if, for example, this is kind of touching on Lee Rickler's comment about looking at using how we can integrate the PMR reporting into his services. What we're trying to do is provide a service or system where somebody thinking of doing a hangout, or somebody thinking of sponsoring a hangout, or somebody thinking of becoming a guest on a hangout can actually make a judgment on which host would be best, which type of hangout would be best, depending on the audience they want to reach. It's all great having, the general statistics about Google, which are available, they're publicly available through Google themselves, I'm sure, about what percentage are male, what percentage are female. We all know who we interact with and, the people that we engage with and what they're like. And my own personal goal with the data is to try and provide something of value to the prospects, the people who are thinking about using Hangouts, not just people who are thinking about using Plus My Reach, because we want to make as much information as we can publicly available, with obviously, of course, identifying individuals, and also give information that's of value directly to each individual host so that they themselves can improve their Hangouts. One good index or one good measurement of that information is what we refer to as the engagement index. And anybody who uses Plus My Reach will be familiar with this. It looks like a temperature gauge and it's going up and it's a percentage. And the higher the percentage, the higher the engagement, which basically means more people attended and more people commented and engaged with the event. And we always find people will have about a 50-60% engagement index, and we make a few suggestions, such as, you know, comment back to guests when they've made a comment, even just mentioning somebody in the video, bring the comments up on screen where you can, and try and make the topic or the subject matter interesting, because I have watched Hangouts myself where the topic will be X and the host and the guests will be talking about Y for a good majority of the Hangout, so it's not really engaging, you know. Sorry, but if it's me, anything techie, and I'm there.
I'm the opposite. I like the fun stuff. I mean, I like the techie stuff, don't get me wrong, but man, you know, there are times when I'm like, enough with the SEO, enough with the business building stuff.
No. There's better than that. Make $1,000 in a weekend.
Oh yeah.
I made $54,000 in a week. Every time I read these things, I'm thinking, well, why are you making it public then? Why do I keep that to myself? You know, I would actually love to see some of these guys come onto Hangouts, and I'd be running reports. I wouldn't release the data, but I just want to look at the reports and see, you know, how many. I actually now do not get as upset as I used to when I invite a lot of people and only a small percentage turn up, because I'm more interested in the ones that turn up and engage, because they're my audience. And it means as well, and again, this is just a personal opinion. For me, it means that these individuals are invested in what I'm talking about. They're interested in what I'm talking about, and I've given something back. You know,
right.
For those that are watching, either the live or the replay, you know, if you've got any questions about Plus My Reach, any suggestions, if you've used it, if you haven't used it, you know, feel free to make a comment, because we work with our beta testers quite closely and make enhancements to the system, make little changes to the system, and you know, we take everything on board, and it may not get developed right away, but at some point it will get developed. I have a list that's 2 pages long of things that need doing.
Yeah, after my stuff, guys.
Yeah.
I have my own list. But yeah, I think that the key is that the reporting is, you know, accurate. The reporting tells a story to the brand that they can trust you, and that they can have an actionable item after. You know, I mean, their brands only, you know, have so many marketing dollars, and they want to make sure that they're investing in a good fit for them, and that at the end of the day that they can make some sales from your audience. So they want to know who your engagers are. They want to know what your reach is. They want to know how big that show could be, what the potential of the brand message could be for them by participating in their sponsorship. And if you do great results, and I promise you this, if you make some good contacts and you provide a good result for them, they're going to come back. They're going to want other sponsorship opportunities with you. I don't think we've had any sponsors so far who have not said they're coming back, or they haven't come back yet for other opportunities, because they know and they think of you as the person who can do this live engagement, really high-tech thing that not everyone else can do.
Well, this is the thing. I was in a hangout with somebody just this morning who is wanting to launch a series of Hangouts. Now, this person's familiar with Hangouts, familiar with the technology, but she knows I'm a techie. And we were talking for quite some time about what's changed recently, best methods, best practices, for example, for delivering the video in the way that they want to deliver it. And we had quite a long discussion. And the bottom line for me was very simple. You need 3 people minimum to run a Hangout, although we've only got 2. Maybe I'm doing 2 jobs. You need a producer, the guy that's going to do all the tech, which is why people will probably see my head turning left and right when I'm looking at comments and such things. Obviously, you need a host, and you need a guest. And the guest can sometimes be an inanimate object, a car, a product, a service, you know. Because if I, like, generally when we run Hangouts, I'll open up and I'll shut up and I'll just sit in the background and run all the tech. And then it's up to you to run the show, isn't it, Laurie? And
Right.
I find that works perfectly for me because I can get very task loaded if I've got a lot of comments coming in and I've got things to do in the background. And then you can focus on delivering the Hangout, on talking to the guests, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've seen people at this point follow the process. The great thing is we've actually gotten some great feedback offline from some of our viewers, some of the people who followed the process, and they're already having great success in trying to get sponsors, or they've already gotten sponsors. And that actually is something we're probably going to work on next, is a series of success stories where we can bring in some guests who have followed our process and now have sponsors, and they can share what they did and how they became successful doing that. And it's really exciting for me. I mean, I am invested in this thing called Hangouts happening for everyone. I'm not selfish in the fact that I want the sponsors for myself or that I want sponsors for myself. I work with the interior design community, and we have some actually good news that interior design community probably is going to hit 20,000 members today, so I'm super excited. But you know, my market's very targeted. You know, I work with brands in the interior design, home space, and I also collaborate, and I freely collaborate. I sometimes reach out to someone, hey, you know what? I'm not a good fit for your project, but this person is, and I put them in touch. You know, so I'm happy to see other Hangout hosts succeed in this area, and I really want that to happen because it will make this whole thing stronger and better, and more brands will want to come in here, and more brands will be playing in our sandbox, which is good for all of us. So you know, there's another like sort of, I don't know, task I can give you, which is that, you know, you can reach out and you can have these brand relationships and definitely give them your reporting because they need to have that. But also take a moment to notice the brands that are coming in here before you've been sponsored by them, and you know, say great Hangout, you know, share their Hangout, because you know, watch brands come in here and falter all the time, and it's sad to see that such great content sometimes here on GooglePlus is being ignored, and I'd love to see more hosts banding together in that way. It would be really good for all of us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a surprise guest, don't we?
Yes, our first guest, Ryan. You're on mute, honey.
Hey, Ryan. How are you doing?
Good. Got stuck in traffic, so sorry I'm a little late.
Not a problem. Well, we've only got a few more minutes left because fortunately I'm doing another Hangout in about 30 minutes.
Right.
The topic
but it's
is
great to
reporting.
have you, Ryan, because you know, you came on originally helping a lot of our hosts who were starting this journey with getting their graphics in order, because such a great first step if you're going to reach out to brands to have your brand message really clear. And we're at the stage where we're now saying, after you've gotten your contracts, after you've gotten your brand message, after you've done your media kit and you've sold the client, then they expect the reporting, and Plus My Reach definitely does that for you. But if you're coming on and you're viewing now, and this is the first show you've gotten, we do have other videos, and Ryan was such a great part of those beginning interviews because he is a graphic artist who really can help you get started on this process where you might want to start figuring out what your brand is before you approach a brand about sponsoring your show. You need to have your act together and make sure that you're doing a great message. So Ryan offered a great package to our viewers, and he still offers some great services. So Ryan, what are you doing today? What kind of you know, you've worked with several of our viewers, but what are you doing right now for members?
Right now, my wife and I are moving to Salem, Oregon next week, so we're kind of crazy. But in terms of, you know, if you see the show, and if you're just starting out with Hangouts, or if you're just starting out with your brand, you know, I've done a lot of different logos for a bunch of different people on here, and got a lot of other things kind of in the pipeline. But if you're wanting to kind of get started with some visual branding or some media work, video editing, whatever, I do video trailers for Hangouts. The lower thirds here, actually, all of the lower thirds on this Hangout are ones that I've designed. You know, if you're interested in that, you can contact me on GooglePlus or at my website at reformationdesigns.com. And if you mention the Plus My Reach show, I can do a 10% discount on any of the services that I offer. So just let me know.
Ryan, I've talked to some of the people that have purchased the graphics, and I have to, you know, give you kudos because we're hearing nothing but fantastic feedback from the people who've already worked with you. So that's awesome. I'm happy.
I'd agree with
you. Did do a good job.
I wanted to thank you guys publicly for having me on, because it's made the transition that we're in right now. I mean, we're leaving Silicon Valley and, you know, moving to a whole new state. It's made the transition much easier because we've had more income coming in, and, you know, I've had a lot of people even watch the replays and, you know, reach out to me, you know, after the fact. So it's good. I appreciate it.
No, that's really nice.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, we really believe in that, and it's great to share a resource with someone. And I, you know, full disclosure, Plus My Reach does not get anything. We passed that. We asked Brian to give you a discount for you guys, not for us. So we were really excited that a lot of you took him up on that offer, and a lot of you worked with him, and we just want your shows to be better ultimately, and I think Ryan does too. I mean, he gave you a really, really great deal because he really wants the shows to be better and to get more engagement, and graphics do help that, believe me. I can tell you.
Now, here's an endorsement for you, Ryan. Sarah, nothing but fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Zara. I appreciate it.
I agree.
She's a joy to work with also.
Would you say, Ryan, that Plus My Reach members and or even just the Google Plus in general, that there's some cool people to work with? I find that myself here on Google Plus. But yeah.
I was actually the reason I was I'm late coming on is I was actually at a lunch meeting with some business associates of mine in the Bay Area here, and I was actually talking about Hangouts and the value that they bring in. You know, I'm sure that you're used to it. You tell people and they look at you like you have 6 heads because they're not familiar with it. But now they're really intrigued because I told them, hey, yeah, I've landed like 12 or 15 new clients just in the last 2 months just because I'm more active on Google Plus, and they're like, are you kidding me? You know, tell me more. And I was on Reddit a couple days ago doing an Ask Me Anything session saying the same thing, and people were very, very surprised. A lot of them thought it was like a paid advertisement from Google, but it was just like legitimate.
No, it really is true.
No.
I think what Google do well is develop products and services. What they could do with improving is marketing those products or services. But why do they need to when they have enthusiastic users like us? From a technical perspective, from the first day I looked at Hangouts and I looked at the technology behind Hangouts, because I know more than most about how Hangouts technically work and how everything's joined together, I was absolutely amazed. And then when I found out, oh, look, you can make a lower third and you can track comments, and then all the other facilities that come with Hangouts, the ability to stream direct into YouTube, the ability to embed it in your web page, you know, all these things, spectacular.
The potential is amazing. It really is.
Yeah, definitely.
I've had major companies on my show. I've had major brands on my show, and I mean, most of the time when I have a new person, new company on the show, the immediate thing they say at the end is, when can I do this again? When can I do this again? They love it once they try it, but they don't understand to try it. And I think that brands are overwhelmed, just like small businesses are overwhelmed. You have Facebook, and you have Twitter, and you have Instagram, and you have Pinterest, and you have all these places that you're trying to bring in traffic and bring in business. And Google Plus is just another thing. And you know, they hear all the rumors that you see here on Google Plus all the time, and it puts them to a point where they're maybe immobilized in whether or not they should invest the time in that space. But I can tell you, just from watching, Google Plus our Plus May Reach tool has actually allowed us to start tracking who is having Hangouts, who is having events, and brands are coming on. Big brands that I hadn't noticed before are coming on. Maybe their shows are not on your radar yet. Maybe you're not following these brands, but it's slowly but surely happening that bigger brands are doing Hangouts. And I know that they're not maybe getting huge engagement here on Google Plus yet because they don't understand how we work here on Google Plus, but they are loving the technology and loving the fact that it's cross-platform by nature, and they know video is how to get search results. So
let's be real. This is Google.
I don't
Plus
think you're going to have trouble finding.
I said, let's be real. Google Plus is more of a Facebook than Facebook at this point, because I can actually
right.
That is true. Yeah.
Facebook is a textbook.
Yeah, basically. And something else I was thinking about. Thought escaped me for a moment there. You know, you were talking about Hangouts and Hangouts hosts, and the fact that we've actively gone out and sought hosts. And one of the things that's really surprised me is some of the brands that are doing Hangouts. I didn't think they were even on Google Plus. And then I look at the data, I look at the stats. I'm not going to mention any names, but we've actually compiled a humongous database of Hangouts, events, Hangouts on air, and hosts. And you know, not for any other reason really than we were interested in who's doing Hangouts, who's using Google Plus events, and it's quite an eye opener.
Yeah. Well, we know one of our he's one of the companies that has actually been here on some of our Hangouts, GoDaddy. They are using Hangouts. We know that I've seen Redbook, I've seen Cosmopolitan, I've seen I will mention names. Epicurious. I mean, there are major brands using Hangouts right now. Maybe not well yet, but not to say that any of those names aren't using them well, but maybe not all the brands are using it well. But there are major brands on here, and they do understand that video is important. It's just, you know, making sure that they find those great relationships. To me, those are the great people to reach out to. But none of that is possible really without the reporting through Plus My Reach. Really, honestly, if you are going to have all of the other steps and you've done your marketing and you've done your pitch, if you don't have at the end of the day something to say who came, who was engaging, that's not, then it's very difficult. They need those numbers, because quite often they're run by PR agencies, and the PR agency has to sell that back to the brand, and they need numbers for that.
Yeah. Well,
Michael,
I think
wrap up, right?
Sorry?
I know you have to wrap up, right?
Yeah,
yes.
I've got to go. We've got another Hangout due in 20 minutes, talking
Yay.
about events, inviting people, etc. What I'd like to do is just, you know, repeat Ryan's offer there, because, you know, he has done some spectacular work. If you need some graphics, maybe a lower third, maybe a video title, pretty much all the graphics we're using now are produced by you, aren't they, Ryan?
Yeah.
And you know, get a hold of Ryan, but don't forget to mention Plus My Reach, because you're going to get a discount. Why not?
You know, yay! Why not?
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for turning up. Thank everybody for watching, and for those watching the replay, thank you also. If you'd like to leave a comment after the event, just leave a comment and we'll get back to you. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.